It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at AmericasVoiceNow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm your host this morning. We're going to cover a number of topics this morning, all of significant import to our listeners. We're going to start with an update on where America's Voice Now is and where we're heading. We've got some good news for you folks, and we want to talk about that. A couple of different things are happening. One, we're broadcasting on some 8 stations now, and we're picking up another one here in the local southern Missouri area. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about that, and I'll bring you up to speed. Also bring you up to speed on where we are in terms of a new video studio that we're working on and how that will affect the show. All these are good things, so bear with us and ride with us for this segment when we commence. I want to talk a little bit on the other 3 subjects about the NSA spying and the revelations today. Again, another Edward Snowden revelation, that the NSA and Israel have been transferring information back and forth directly, raw intel or raw signal intelligence, SIGINT as it's called, and how the U.S. is sharing raw intelligence data with Israel, which unfortunately incorporates American information in there as well. And so here we have one more of a myriad of examples that show that this particular administration and what they're doing with this NSA spying and surveillance program are so vastly unconstitutional, so far outside the scope of reality, that I cannot believe at this point that we don't have constitutional scholars, that we don't have congressional reviews, that we are not having a national dialogue about this, other than to say, oh boy, another one? I mean, Judge Napolitano came out the other day, and we're going to talk about that, and he addressed 2 different issues, and so we're going to address both of them, Syria and the issue of the NSA. And then also, in addition to that, we're going to talk a little bit about immigration, because there was a release yesterday of a document where the over 100 companies have submitted a letter to John Boehner imploring him to pass immigration and make sure that it happens. Now, this is the height of arrogance and hypocrisy in corporate America, because these same companies are responsible for literally hundreds of thousands of layoffs in the last 6 or 8 or 12 months. And so what that's telling us is that when you have that kind of a layoff percentage of the total workforce, then to send a letter to John Boehner stating that immigration would help them find new workers is just clearly, I mean, it's so insulting, frankly, that I'm putting a call out right now that we should make sure that we are all working towards the goal of boycotting every one of these 100 companies. And we need to let them know why we're boycotting them, because this is an absolute travesty. Our 4th and final segment is going to be on Vladimir Putin and Syria and where we are on this issue. And we're also going to highlight and talk a little bit about the Judge Napolitano's recent interview and about the Syrian issue. And so I think we've got a pretty good show lineup for you today. Stick with us for these segments. I think you'll find them interesting. Our initial show this morning is going to cover a couple of things. One, an update on America's Voice Now, but also, in addition to that, a couple of other local news bits. Yesterday, on 9/11, a rally was held to override the governor's veto on the Second Amendment Preservation Act. And it passed the House by about 5 or 6 o'clock. However, it failed to pass the Senate. Now, it had passed both houses overwhelmingly when it was originally passed. And this override or veto override vote did not pass. And what that tells me is that, similar to what just happened in Colorado yesterday, we need to have an immediate, and I do mean immediate, for the 2014 election, a recall capability instituted within the state of Missouri, similar to what Colorado has. The two senators that were responsible in Colorado for passing the most egregious gun ban bills that Colorado has ever seen were both removed from office via recall yesterday. And simultaneously, these guys were removed by recall in Colorado, while our senators here in Missouri turned around and betrayed us wholeheartedly on this issue. I can't wait to get the vote count and find out who voted yes and then change their mind to no, because their constituents need to immediately begin the process of getting. In fact, we need to make a statewide move this summer or this fall and into the spring to get a constitutional amendment on the ballot that allows us to not only recall politicians, but anyone, including a state or federal a federal senator or House representative member as well. Time is up, folks, for this kind of nonsense. And let's not forget that this is our nation. And I, for one, have had enough. I've had enough of the betrayal. I've had enough of the lies. I've had enough of the politicking. I've had enough of the gamesmanship. Let's remove these people who betray our trust, who get into office promising one thing and then promptly turn around and do whatever is in their best interest rather than the best interest of the constituencies. I'm very, very, very disappointed. I am disappointed in our House and our Senate. I am disappointed in the leadership within the state of Missouri. And frankly, I'm disappointed in the population, because I spoke to someone who actually attended that event yesterday, and he told me that at the rally, there were only a few hundred people there. Now, this is a state of 6 million people. And it's not surprising to know that the Senate changed their mind when they only saw a few hundred show up. So the real challenge we have here, folks, is that we have an apathetic population. I also would like to see an initiative put forth in the state of Missouri, again, similar to what's happened in Colorado, and now, as yesterday was announced in the state of Maryland, that I'd like to see southern Missouri secede from the northern portion of the state. Kansas City and St. Louis, for way too long, have controlled the political dialogue, the political arena, and the entire political game in the state of Missouri. And I believe it's high time that Missouri had a southern Missouri independent state that has its own sovereignty and can operate as an independent state of government. I'm going to begin to talk about that as we move forward into this election season. And I would like to see some grassroots efforts towards achieving that goal. This state is a mess. And it's a mess because our elected politicians lie, connive, plot, plan, and steal from us. And it's time it stopped. And I can see that the only way to stop it is not to put them out of office. The best way to achieve this is to recall them and throw them out, and simultaneously allow a brand new southern Missouri state to be recreated and separated from the original state of Missouri. I'm calling for a complete secession of the southern half of Missouri to get us away from Kansas City and get us away from St. Louis. Those two states have become, or those two cities have become such a millstone about the neck of the state of Missouri, that it is, at this point, impossible to achieve any kind of realistic political goal without having to kowtow to the sycophantic progressives up there and the libtards who rule. And listen, Even the conservatives who are elected out of those areas literally are worthless to us as citizens, because they call themselves conservatives, but they vote like they're Democrats because they're afraid to be voted out. And instead of being willing to sacrifice the job to do what's right, as most politicians do, they turn around and betray you every single time. And I, for one, think we've had enough. So we're going to start talking about that. We're going to raise that specter. We're going to try to create a grassroots effort to get 2 new initiatives on the ballot for this fall in 2014. And that is going to be a secession ballot to separate southern Missouri from northern Missouri, and also a recall ballot or a ballot initiative for recalls. So, all right, let's bring you up to speed on America's Voice now. As you know, since we moved our studio, we've been working on a couple of different things. One, we are working diligently to create a brand new studio that we're in a temporary location now, and we are working on a brand new video and audio studio that will enable us to not only do the radio program with full green screen capabilities behind us and dramatically enhance our abilities, but in addition to that, it will enable us to do a live news program. And we've been working with the folks over at Liberty News Radio and the Liberty Roundtable. That's Sam Bushman and his group. Sam is the group that, and Liberty Roundtable are the group that have picked up America's Voice Now, and they are currently syndicating us through about 8 stations. For the record, we are closing a deal on another station that we're going to be going on to that will put us back up on the air in the original, almost the original same footprint that we were at with 107.1 before they changed their format, and before the station was sold and the new owners changed the format. So those are good things that are happening. We want to make sure that you are aware of what those issues are. We will continue to stream live on our website. We are building a brand new website that is going to not only support and house America's Voice Now and our program here, but also in addition to that, we'll have other programs. USA Prepares with Vince Finelli on there. We're going to have Sam Bushman with the Liberty Roundtable group on there. We're going to have Joyce Riley with the Power Hour on there. We're going to have John Moore. All these programs are with the John Moore Show, by the way. All of these programs are going to be streamed live, essentially similar to what America's Voice Now does. And so you'll have an opportunity to not only hear, but also see each of these radio programs, just like you can watch America's Voice Now. We're going to be putting it up on a brand new website that will also incorporate the ability to have a nightly news program. And the goal of the nightly news program is essentially to allow us to replicate or recreate what Fox News could have and should have but never really was. We need a patriotic television news channel that doesn't talk about, fashion, doesn't talk about what's hot and what's not in television, what doesn't talk about any kind of issues other than hardcore, straight-up politics. Our goal is to give it to you straight, to separate the wheat from the chaff, to keep the ministry of propaganda at bay by educating and informing and motivating and activating our listenership, not only here in the state of Missouri, but, of course, across the nation as well. It is time for a station to step up to the plate that will give Americans an opportunity to be given truth and information that they cannot get because the ministry of propaganda is so corrupted, so biased, so blatantly supportive of everything that is wrong with this country, that our listenership, not to mention millions upon millions upon millions of other Americans, are just desperate. They are thirsty and hungry for truth and justice and honor and integrity and ethics. And so we're going to give it to you, folks. We're actually going to give you a program where you can log on and catch a nightly news program. Immediately thereafter, we're going to start working on 2 different commentary programs, one of which I'll probably operate and run. And then these will be 1-hour programs where we'll talk about whatever the hot topics are of the day, bring on guests to interact with us, and so forth and so on. So the game plan here is to dramatically expand the footprint of what we're doing, not only on the internet, but for radio, but also in the video arena, and to greatly expand our reach and our capabilities to draw in listeners who really feel disenfranchised because they cannot get truth anywhere. And so if we can provide for people a clear and simple message that separates the truth from the fiction and the propaganda that they are fed every day by the mainstream media and the ministries of propaganda out there. And that, by the way, folks, is newspapers. It is radio. It is television. It is marketing. It is everything that we don't need in our lives. What we need is just some plain good, hardcore truth. And so we're going to give it to you. We are going to do this. And so we're expecting that we're going to be able to get into that studio in about the next week or 10 days. That will enable us to begin to broadcast the radio program from the new studio initially. Within short order, we will be working towards getting that newscast up for you and getting the website available that you can go to it so that you can see not just America's Voice Now, but also USA Prepares and Liberty Roundtable and the Power Hour with Joyce and so forth and so on. In other words, it'll be a one-stop shop, right? You can go to one website and you can catch streaming video, streaming audio, newscasts, the whole 9 yards, all from one single site. And I believe that with your support and your help and your visitations, your registrations, we will be able to change the paradigm of news in America. I really, truly believe that. I believe that there is a depth and a breadth and a wealth of Americans who truly feel like they have nowhere to turn for good truth and information. And we're going to give that to you because we know that it's necessary. We feel compelled to do it. It's part of our mission. It's part of our program to bring listeners into the fold who are coming awake but don't know where to turn for resources. And so I believe that this will really, really take off. We're going to need some assistance and some help from you. We're going to need you to help us spread the word and work with us on social media and other areas. But together, we can accomplish this, folks. Together, we can make a major difference in the tone and the tenor of the discussions that happen in America. And it's about time somebody did it. Frankly, just like this radio program, I'm just sick and tired of waiting around to see somebody step up to the plate and do it. So I've grabbed myself by the bootstraps, and I'm going to make it happen. I know that's a bold statement. I know this is a huge project, but I got to tell you, I feel as committed and as strong to it and its goals as I do to America's Voice Now. And, you know, those of you who know me know I'm a bit of a pit bull. When I get a hold of a bone, you got to basically cut my head off to get it out of my mouth. And so we're going to make this thing happen for you guys. All right. The news station, the next station that we're going to be climbing on board with, has a very, very broad coverage area that basically will give us almost the exact footprint that we had when we were on 107.1. This is going to be a great boon to our listenership locally, who are very frustrated that we are no longer broadcasting on terrestrial radio in the local area. And it is going to be an outstanding opportunity for not only folks that are long-term listeners and supporters, but new people as well. I'm going to withhold the name of the station until we get the documents and agreements resolved. But the simple truth is we came to an agreement yesterday. And at this point, we are literally on the cusp and on the edge of putting this project together. I believe that within a week, we may be able to be broadcasting. Okay? So that footprint will essentially cover everything that our old footprint covered. So we'll be going as far east as down into the Thayer area and even further east than that. To the north, we'll be going up, up almost as far as perhaps Licking, not quite that far. We'll go even a little further west and down towards the south. We should be able to get to the outer edges of Mountain Home. So I am very, very, very excited about it. I'm very grateful to this group for the opportunity to work with them. And the show at this point in time will probably run between 10 and midnight. So it'll be a 2-hour program at around 10 o'clock at night. That should dramatically open up doors for us in terms of being able to provide listeners who can't catch it in the morning but want to be able to listen at night. And so we'll still continue to broadcast our show during the day, and we'll just play it at night on that station. And I think it will give an opportunity for folks who don't have internet access and or don't have the time to listen to it 8 to 10 in the morning to capture it from 10 to midnight. And that show will be immediately followed by Vince Finelli and his program, which is USA Prepares. And that will be followed in turn by Sam and the Liberty Roundtable group. And I tell you what, folks, we've got some great things lined up for you. I promise you, some things are happening in the back that you're not familiar with and you're not aware of, and I've got to keep a kind of a tight lip on it. But I'm promising you that there's some exciting things coming. Okay, we've got about 2 or 3 minutes left. I do want to give you our dial-in numbers for our listen line again. I'll make sure that I post these up, of course, on our Facebook page again and our website. You can dial and listen in. In other words, just listen by phone while the show is playing from 6 a.m. till 8 a.m. and from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And you can dial in Monday through Friday. The 2 phone numbers, I'm going to give them to you in a moment. I want you to write these down because essentially if you're out on the road or if you're at work and you want to be able to, if you've got a speakerphone, these are long-distance numbers, so don't dial them unless it's on a cell phone or you've got unlimited long distance. But it does give you the opportunity to play the show through a speakerphone or something along those lines, or dial in on your mobile. And you can literally drive down the road and just listen. Grab yourself an inexpensive headset and enjoy the program. So America's Voice Now is broadcasting and relaying this through our live dial-in line. That is provided by our friends over at Liberty Roundtable. You can get to them by going to libertyroundtable.com. And the telephone numbers are area code 712-432-5339. Let me give that to you again. The telephone numbers are 712-432-5339. Now that's one number. There's a second one I'm going to give to you now. It's area code 213-992-4323. That's 213-992-4323. You can also find us by going to the Liberty. It's GiveMeLiberty.com. And also LibertyNewsRadio.com. Now, there's an opportunity for you to listen live on the Internet at your leisure as well. And not only that, but there are podcasts up there for Sam Bushman and Kurt Crosby with the Liberty Roundtable, Joyce Riley with the Power Hour, Vince Finelli with USA Prepares, Dr. Laurie Roth from the Roth Show, and a host of others. Tech Watch Radio, from the Sons of Liberty, Jim Brown's Common Sense, the Political Cesspool. There's a whole host of different programs up there that you folks can take advantage of. So let's make sure that we're visiting there. You can go there by going to libertynewsradio.com, and also make sure that you visit Sam's website over at libertyroundtable.com. You can also get to see Vince over at usaprepares.com, and of course you can always find us at AmericasVoiceNow.com. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to take up our story here on the NSA, domestic and in Israeli sharing, Israel sharing the NSA's information on domestic and foreign intelligence calls, and we're going to talk more about that. We'll be right back.